to start from the beginning about packing, because I'm not quite sure where we lost you. Apparently, Adobe Flash Player crashed for some reason, best known to itself. Unfortunately, that's not one of the things that we can control. Let me go back over packing briefly. I said that packing was something, I explained something about how I learned packing. I learned packing from the person who actually invented packing, Bob Croft. I've been teaching packing to elite divers for many years now, so I feel a little bit responsible for it and for how it's understood today. So I would very much like to put my view over and my views on packing. Let me start by saying that it's different for people who are doing depth disciplines and different for people who are doing pool disciplines. Pool disciplines at the moment, it's proved to have more advantages than disadvantages. And some of the phenomenal numbers that we've seen might not have been achieved without packing at the moment. I have other ideas about that subject, but this is the facts that we see, the statistics that we see on the board, and I think that that part of it is indisputable. Now, when it comes to depth, packing's a two-edged sword, as I said. Packing has advantages and disadvantages. Again, it's stuck?
No, it's okay.
Because they say it's stuck.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Here we go. The disadvantages being that for the first 20 meters, perhaps, you're going to be fighting extra buoyancy. If you're going to pack 2 extra liters in your lungs, you're going to have 2 extra kilos virtually of buoyancy to fight on the way down. That's a fair amount. Now, when you get to the bottom, you're going to be fighting something else. For very deep divers, you're going to have the problem of narcosis, nitrogen narcosis, hitting you much harder and much earlier. And for very deep divers on the sled, you're increasing your risk of decompression sickness. Okay, those are the risks. The advantages are that it allows you to do a mouthfill, hopefully a little bit deeper, which should give you a few extra meters. My feeling is that we've nearly got to the point where the disadvantages, because more people are getting into the area of narcosis, more people are getting into the area where they could possibly get decompression sickness from a single dive, particularly in sled diving. I think that we're beginning to see that the disadvantages are outweighing the advantages. This is not true in static. For a long time, this has been, I feel, a psychological crutch for people. It's been sold to a lot of people as the secret of deep diving. People have raved about the fact that with dry packing and reverse packing, they've succeeded in putting up their vital capacity and also decreasing their residual volume. First of all, decreasing the residual volume I can see as being an advantage for deep diving. Increasing vital capacity, less of an issue. And it's nothing like the advantage for a deep diver that it is for a pool diver. We have some people who are well known in the world, who are phenomenal in the pool, and are completely wiped out by narcosis at depth. So those are some of the advantages, disadvantages of the thing. Now, there are also dangerous behaviors. It's become fashionable to recommend, and I don't know who started this process, but to me it's a nightmare. I've been a student of some of the better teachers in India of yoga, of asana, and in all honesty, you can increase the whole flexibility of the thoracic cage, which is a terrific advantage for deep divers, without overpacking on dry land. The danger of overpacking is 2 or 3 things here. First, I have been told by an eminent physiologist that this can reduce the flexibility of the alveoli. In other words, they lose their flexibility and never quite return. It's like a balloon that's been inflated. When you first buy the balloon, it looks something like this. If I inflate that balloon to the maximum several times, it will not return to that. This is what may happen to your alveoli. The other thing is that when they're fully inflated, they become almost porous to air. They become almost like a bit of a sieve, where microbubbles can pass directly into the bloodstream, and you risk air embolism from this. Now, quite apart from that, apparently there was a case during during vertical blue this year, of somebody actually bursting their lungs by stretching on a packed lung. This is an appalling idea. First of all, it's not necessary. I can't see the point. What are you gaining from it? Vertical blue, for goodness sake, was a depth competition. It had nothing to do with static there. Why on earth somebody would be wanting to do that, I can't imagine. The next thing is, if you are going to pack, it's recommended, first of all, absolutely don't even think about packing for dives under 40 meters. What for? What you want to do at first is increase your technique of equalization without packing. And then packing becomes, if you like it, your secret weapon. It gives you a few extra meters. Now, that's only again for the very experienced, because there's a diminishing equation here. What is my maximum depth for taking the mouthfill? Because I've learned to control my epiglottis, and soft palate, I don't have a problem. I may also be physiologically privileged. I don't have a problem about holding a mouthfill from comparatively, by some people's standards, a fairly shallow depth. So again, packing isn't a huge advantage to me. For those who do need it, what I recommend are certain guide rules for it. Pack moderately. By moderately, maybe not even more than at the beginning, up to 4 small packs or 2 large packs. That's it at the beginning. A lot of people will say moderate packing is to give you the same lung capacity. If you were, for instance, we'll take the case of Alexei Molchanov. He begins his dives in a vertical position where he's floating to about the collarbone level. That means to say that his diaphragm is probably 50 to 60 centimeters underwater. Now, he will not get a full breath hold, or the same breath hold that he'd get in air if he was out of the water, when he's in that position in the water, unless he packs. but a few packs will bring it up to the same volume that he would get as if he was in air. Now, if you're lying on your back and you're ventilating and you're packing, don't pack as much, because you're not fighting that kind of water pressure. Your diaphragm is not fighting it. Somebody talked to me about packing with a snorkel. In all honesty, I think this is absolute rubbish. I can't see the advantage of it. I can't see the advantage of that position. It is, if you're not going to pack, it does have some advantages. Then you have to use a snorkel, okay. The snorkel has very obvious disadvantages. Now, packing with snorkel to blackout. Somebody said that Eric Fatah is packing to blackout with a snorkel. I can't see any advantage in that at all. Eric has done a lot of very extreme experiments. He's one of the pioneers, one of our astronauts that go up and check out what's at the end of a particular line of thought, and for this I admire him very much. This is not a technique that I would recommend in any way. There are too many reasons why not. So I'm sorry, I'd have to give a negative opinion on that one. I would need a lot of convincing to be shown that that actually had some advantages to it. Now, that more or less is the story on packing. I want to reiterate the safety things, because this is really, really important. You can do yourself a big mischief by playing around with packing. Everything goes well. You don't have that many pain receptors in the lung. So you don't get an awful lot of warning of something going wrong until it's gone wrong. First of all, never increase the amount that you're packing in big jumps. Don't do 8 packs today and suddenly decide to do 15 packs tomorrow. You need to increase your flexibility in those areas very gradually, very systematically, and very regularly. And I wouldn't try for a particular number or for a particular advantage. The business that the pool people are talking about of increasing vital capacity and reducing residual volume really is more applicable to your pool than anything else, and it's also achievable by stretching and by doing negative exercises underwater with much less risk than packing or reverse packing, or worst of all of them, packing and then stretching. In other words, stretching on a packed lung. So let me just check for another second to see whether we've got extra questions coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the moment, what we'd like to do is we'd like you to suggest a program for the next talk that we do. The next talk is going to be on the 27th. So the next talk is going to be at the 27th. It's going to be the same time as this. If any of you have got criticisms about the time, we've tried to work out a time that would be suitable for the majority of the people that we anticipate seeing it. So if any of you have got suggestions about that, I'd be very happy to hear it. I realized that just recently somebody did me the favor of publishing it so that we may have people from across the other side of the Atlantic watching. I want to thank him very much for doing that. I want to thank you all for listening. Please feel free to suggest topics. You can suggest it anonymously if you want to, that you would like to have discussed in the next session that we're going to be doing. It will be the same, the time will be the same as this week, that's to say GMT +2. So I want to thank Will as well, Will Wiggins, who's done some publishing for us on the other side of the Atlantic. Welcome, Will, and we'd like you guys to have some kind of input into this as well. I'd like more of a to and fro on this. If you feel I am talking nonsense, don't hesitate to say so, and then I will delete you from everything that exists in the face of the earth. No. You could do me the courtesy of telling me why, at least. So until the next time we meet, again I repeat it on the 27th, this has been recorded so that if anybody has arrived late or wants to review it, they're very welcome to do so. I do apologize for the technical difficulties that we've been experiencing. We're going to try to find out exactly what happened, and we're going to try and rectify that so that it doesn't happen next time, and we'll let you know what the result of that one is. So thank you all very much indeed, and have a very good evening from here in